This is an update for really all our local reps and of course all our members out there, and first of all, thank you for the massive support you have given us. Now we know of course a lot of that support is because of the behaviour of Royal Mail and the way things have just deteriorated so badly in the workplace. But in respect of an update, for those of you who watch the Facebook page of the CWU, you will see that we held a briefing with all our senior representatives and our area representatives on Thursday, and also that we did a demonstration to make it clear to everybody that the legal action which has effectively forced us into external mediated negotiations really for a period of 7 weeks or so, it was to explain the fact that that hasn't changed in any way at all the dynamics of this dispute. The disagreements we have with the employer, the gap between us is still huge, the massive support for the union is still there, and if necessary and if we have to, we will take industrial action. Now I think the fact that we gave action so quickly when we got the ballot result, we were planning to take industrial action the first day we could, absolutely demonstrated to the employer and everybody else that we were totally serious about this dispute. Now since then of course we've had the court proceedings and that's ended the way it's ended. So effectively we've been forced into this extra period of negotiation. Now the pressure there is on the employer. One, we felt that that had already taken place, that with external professionalism assisting us trying to make an agreement. But secondly, we didn't even believe that this form of mediation would change anything in the dynamics of those talks. But clearly Royal Mail do, and even the judge said that. Why would you force external mediation via the courts unless you felt you had something different to say or something was going to change in those talks? So the pressure is massively on Royal Mail now to present to us something different that will actually take us towards an agreement, because thus far that just hasn't happened in the negotiations we've had. I've also met Moira Green last week, the CEO of Royal Mail Group, and we sat together in a meeting for over 5 hours. So it was a serious meeting, which clearly is something that many believe, and I do too, perhaps is something that should have happened far earlier in the negotiations. Now what became clear to me is Moira Green told me that they want an agreement, they don't want a strike. They recognise they're going to have to move on some of these issues, and as I say, the proof will be in the eating of the pudding. Will we see that put on the table through this mediation process? But I take Moira Green at face value. If she's saying there's definitely going to be a difference in these talks, then that's a positive. Because if we can make the agreement, the right agreement, that reflects all the issues we've put forward and protects our members' job, standard of living and pension security, as well as protects the interests of the public and this great public service that we see as being destroyed by their proposals at the moment, if we can achieve that without our members taking 1 day of industrial action and without losing a penny, then of course that'll be what we would want to achieve. We haven't just arrived at this point in time. We've been in talks for over 18 months. So I know how things get played out in the media and it's bad unions and it's this. Our proposals are some of the most progressive things in this country in regards to pensions, in respect of dealing with the gig economy, these bad employment models, in respect of digital, the new world of automation and artificial intelligence. We're trying to tackle those issues. In effect, we're trying to build a bridge from our original agreement to a new agreement which will cover us for the next few years. So we're very much looking to the future, whereas we believe Royal Mail's plans have all been about the next 5 minutes. They've all been about cutting costs to hit the profit targets each year so that they can stand back and say we're still making a profit, we're still successful, and by the way we're increasing shareholder return year on year. It is not a long-term plan in our opinion, and that's what we've been fighting for. So if there's going to be movement on that, then that is terrific. If there isn't, then it proves that it was just some cynical ploy to try and stop us taking industrial action moving up towards Christmas. This dispute, let me make it clear, was never about Christmas. This dispute is about the rest of your lives in Royal Mail Group and the strategy going forward for Royal Mail Group that protects this and builds upon this great public service. So that's what it's about, and that's why this dispute, whether we go out in December or early December, whether the dispute continues past Christmas, whether we go out on strike in January or February or March. Obviously it's still damaging, it's still destructive, but it's all being done because we've been talking to an employer who simply will not talk about these long-term issues and give our members the security they deserve and the confidence that we're still going to have this great public service intact, and we're going to build upon it, which were fundamentally the principles and the promises of the agreement we made with the employer. So if they are serious, then we're going to see that in the next few weeks, and we should see that incredibly quickly, because if we don't, then this process will fail and we'll be back in a position where we'll be giving notice for industrial action. And I'd say this to people that believe that it's only Christmas is the effective time in respect of the extra workload that we get in this business and respect of how serious it would be if we were having to take industrial action. We all know that customers' behaviour in this country has changed. We're one of the biggest, proportionately, possibly the biggest, home shopping nation in the world. And I think the busiest day last year was Boxing Day, when people were involving themselves in the sales that were taking place, and also in January for the same reason, plus you've got all the returns from Christmas and everything else. So customers will be relying heavily on us. Some of our biggest customers, our biggest contracts will still be relying on us. They're not going to say, well, it's fine then, we don't mind if you take industrial action in January. They're not going to be saying that. It's a very serious situation, and our call is to Royal Mail. You can avoid this by sticking to the spirit and intent of the agreements we've made, and by actually coming to the table and proving that you're serious in addressing the issues we're talking about, including the culture in the workplace. We are no longer going to put up with people being treated the way they are, which is a clear strategy to just push and push to try and save every penny and make their budgets, and it is against the agreements we've made, and it's been pushed by the most senior operational managers in Royal Mail. That has got to change, because a union doesn't get a yes vote the size that we've got if there isn't fertile ground. People have had enough. Royal Mail need to recognise it. They need to come to the table prepared to genuinely make an agreement with this union and create the right mutual interest culture in the workplace. Otherwise, this will fail totally. If they've recognised that and they're serious, then hopefully in the next few weeks we will be able to say we are absolutely confident we're moving in the right direction, and we are going to secure an agreement that is an agreement that was right for our members, right for this business, and proves that by us standing together we have genuinely made a difference. I hope that works for the update. The mediator should be appointed Monday. We've had some problems with that. We'll immediately submit our case, and we are trying to get into those talks as urgently as possible to see whether this company is genuine or not. Thank you.